Today's episode of the Outline Podcast is brought to you by Loot Crate. Save 10% on any new subscription at www.trylootcrate.com/outlinepod. Enter promo code BRIDGE10 for 10% savings. Today's show is also brought to you by Zipcar, the world's largest car sharing network, providing wheels when you want them in 500 plus cities and towns, 500 plus colleges, and 50 plus airports. You can get $25 of free driving credit at joinzipcar.com/outlinepod. Once again, that's www.joinzipcar.com/outlinepod. All right, let's start the show.
The Outline with Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne. The Outline with Kevin Dwayne. The Outline with Kevin Dwayne. This is the Outline with Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne with Kevin Dwayne.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's the Outline with Kevin Dwayne. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another episode. I say the same shit every week. So guess what? Since we had the year anniversary last week, I am no longer numbering the episodes. I'm tired of that shit. So don't look for numbers. Just listen to them in order on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music. I just decided after a year of numbering them, there's just no need anymore. It becomes monotonous and it's too much. Just know you have a lot to fucking listen to at this point. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for rating me. Thank you for the comments. And just thank you all for just being here every goddamn week. So this week I have a special guest on the show, and this is kind of like a movement for me, and I'll explain after I introduce him. But his name is Sean, but I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit more about himself.
Hey, what's up, people? How's it going, man? This is Sean, also known as My Definition, if y'all follow me online. I'm a podcaster like Kevin. He's actually the one who gave me the courage to jump in the game and do what I got to do. So me and my co-host Blackface, we do a podcast called To Live and Pod in LA. So we basically talk all things hip-hop, all things sports. We try to get into politics from time to time, but not all the time. So definitely appreciate you for having me here on the Outline Podcast. Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to actually have you on the show. So what I was saying right before I introduce you is this is kind of a movement because there's two things here. Number one, we went to middle school together. So,
Yes.
So I think that's dope because you actually have access to a part of me that a lot of motherfuckers don't. Like, no one in my circle, I think everyone that I've met, everyone that I've dealt with thus far, have known me since college or since I was 18, whereas, you know, we've known each other since we were like fucking 11 and 12.
We go all the way back.
All the way back.
After school care. That's
After
right.
school care, right. And then also, you know, we did the whole youth group thing and stuff like that afterwards. So throughout high school and then a little bit of college too before I moved here. And so I think that's a pretty dope perspective. And then number two, you're the first straight guy to be on the show. So congrats on that.
And clap for that. We breaking barriers.
Breaking
baby.
barriers. Intersectionality.
Let's do it.
Intersectionality. So I think you'd be a great perspective. Just, I don't want the show to always have necessarily a gay bias. I mean, it's definitely an LGBT show because I'm LGBT. It just is what it is.
Right.
But at the same time, what was that?
Let me tell you one thing. What I really appreciate about your show, and I do listen every week. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I am a fan of this show, and I learn from you. I want to tell you that right now. Like, I take notes every week from the things that you do. And for your show being an LGBT show, it really, to me, like, you hit your groove when you labeled it as that and you flew and you took off. Like, to me, having that direction, people know what they're gonna get, they know what they're gonna listen to, and it's just perfect every week, man. So I just want to big you up for that, man. I love the show and love where it's going.
Wow, thank you so. Wow, that means a lot, and we'll get into why that when we get to our main topic too. But thank you so much for saying that because it's hard doing these things, and you try to figure out where you fit, and you don't want to be. I think especially when it comes to being labeled as a gay podcast, I didn't want to be the type of messy show.
Okay,
and I feel like sometimes we get pigeonholed into that. They feel like, oh, you gotta be like, you gotta talk shit about people. You just gotta talk about gossip. It can't be deep. And I'm like, no, there's levels to this shit. Like, you know, at the end of the day, we're all men and shit like that. But we just do different things differently in bedrooms. But at the same time, we go through the same shit. I like talking about politics and race issues and stuff like that. But there's just more to it. So I'm glad that you find it informative, and you're like, oh, okay, I can take away from this.
Oh yeah, and I tell you all the time, man. I learn something new every week.
And it cracks me up though because like, and Sean does actually send me stuff like after he'll send me a quote or something I said. I'm like, damn, like, and I'm always kind of like, damn, that's so damn crazy. And I really never expected that either. And like I said, we'll talk about that later when we get to the main topic. But yeah, I appreciate that. So I'm happy to have you on the show. And I know it was a matter of time because it was like, oh, we're gonna work together. But I also like to find places where people fit. I don't like to, I want to be like, okay, so
yeah, you don't want to force it.
Yeah, where's the flow? And so I thought that I'm happy to have you here. So let's talk some bullshit first, and then we'll get to the heavy part. So number one, are you watching Power right now?
I love Power, one of my favorite shows on TV.
Like, okay, so I'm up to date. I caught up this morning because I watch it on Sunday mornings. I can't wait to Sunday night. Who the fuck? Right. Y'all shouldn't have made it available. Like, there's no.
I watched it last night, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. So I was on it as soon as it dropped.
So this season is dope as fuck, is it not? Like,
I love it. Everybody's hateable.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Nobody to root for right now. Right.
Nobody to root for. And at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm going to try my best not to give spoilers, but I really don't give a fuck if I do give them out. It is what it is.
Yeah, y'all need to hurry up and watch that shit. Stop playing around.
Yeah, so at this point, I just decided that I literally have no place for Tyreek anymore. Or Tariq. No, really. I was like, literally, if this nigga dies, I'd be okay. Like, I was like, I think they get over. I think they move on. They'll just have 2 daughters, and they'll just live their lives. Like, I just don't really... I don't care. It's at the point that I remember what it's like to be 15. Trust me, I remember it. We're not the smartest at 15, but this nigga's dumb. Like,
dumb as hell. If you don't get your green suburban kid out the hood ass, stop playing around, man.
And once again, this connects with you and I because we both had that private school kind of life. You know what I mean? And so I know what it's like to kind of want to, you want to still show that you're kind of hard and that you got a little bit of grit, even though you go to private school. But at the same time, he's a different type of dumb. Like, he's definitely scripted dumb. Right. Because I'm like, you had to be exposed to something else to make you not be this damn disloyal to your family because your feelings are hurt.
See, I had the pleasure of going to a private school that was public school adjacent. Yeah. So when I got to Sarah, it's a different breed of private school kid in there. So I learned very quickly that I was going to be the gated community kid. And you know what? I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I was playing my role. I wasn't trying to get into no fuck shit. I was just going to do what I had to do, make friends, and not get into no dumb shit.
Right. And I mean, you also, I think, and I get it, in that school, they go to like this little hoity-toity type school with a bunch of white kids. However, that was kind of more my ministry for high school because we all know what the fuck I went. That was more my ministry in high school, but because of middle school, I was still very grounded in that and shit like that. So it's like, there's a balance. But like, nah, he got to go. And then, of course, Angela, she got to go. Although, the latest episode, I feel like she's starting to get her sense back. She's starting to, like, it's clicking like, oh shit, something ain't right in the water.
The problem I have with both her and Ghost, they always figure the shit out when it's too late.
Yeah.
The tea leaves are there for y'all to read. Please just read them quicker because it makes me upset every time. And I'm fully aware that if these characters acted the way I wanted them to act, that this show would be no good. But at the same time, it's so frustrating every week.
Yeah, and I feel they're dragging out this one scenario the whole season. I'm like, okay, so y'all gonna make us deal with this shit every damn week because it's a certain anxiety now when I watch it. I'm like, all right, Because right when they get to that courtroom at the end, some fuck shit's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen every week. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
what they gonna do this week?
Oh yeah,
You
and they
know?
got a bombshell for y'all asses this week.
Yeah. So man, but it's so good. It's so good. Like the writing, I'm like, all right, this might be y'all peak because it's really, really good.
Right.
And you start
Yeah.
to say to yourself, what are y'all gonna do after this though? Because it's
Right.
so damn heavy. You're like, well, shit, this is the show. So
Right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shit's dope. And shout out to 50 Cent for even being a part of this.
Right.
Speaking of 50 Cent, so this cascades. All right, so you see his whole comments about Jay-Z's album.
Yes. golf course music.
Yeah, like
right?
I don't get why 50's always saying shit out the side of his mouth when it comes to other people's music, when in reality his shit ain't been popping in a minute though. And
That is true.
like I was I'm like 50, like you got power, man. You still got vitamin water, like you're good. Like I don't understand like why you always speaking on shit you shouldn't speak on. Like you just
because he's the king of trolls. He has to. He can't help
He is
himself.
the king of trolls. So the last thing I saw, he was saying that he is about to drop an album, but it's not going to be as smart as 444. He said
Right.
He said that he's going to dumb it down because he feels like that's the culture of music right now. You got to make it stupid and make it about dumb shit. It can't be golf course music. I'm just like,
Right. Well, you know what? That's what I appreciated the most about 444 was that it was age appropriate music and that Jay wasn't trying to do something. He wasn't trying to go with the quote unquote mumble movement, if you will.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that out of him. And to be honest, I'm not really looking for a 50 Cent album in 2017.
Who is?
I mean, I don't know. Unless just play "It's a Big Rich Town" on the loop, and then that's all I need to hear. That's the only song I want to hear.
And I only like that because of Joe. So I mean,
that's real. Cause I'm an R&B head, so I'm with you on that one.
Man, like I was playing 50 Cent released like a greatest hit, or at least his label did like a few months back. And I was like, I'm gonna play this just for old time's sake. And I found myself saying, damn, homie, in high school, you was the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you? Like I really
ain't that gospel.
Right. I was like, damn, like what happened? Like, but like I said, he's still successful, he still has power, he's still doing his thing. Stick to that, man. Like stop speaking on shit that you're not really a part of anymore.
He can't help it, Kevin. He has to.
Yeah, he got to. I mean, because even that when he was trying to rile up the whole Empire thing, like Empire's like this show. I'm like, well, they're two different shows.
Yes.
I do think Power is a better show. So
Agreed.
why even bring that up? Like they're not even the same. But okay, they're just black shows that deal with crime and drama. Like that's it.
Right.
But they're two different stories. But whatever. Yeah. But shout out to 50. Whatever his music career, don't care about that. But let's always like whatever. Power's dope. We'll stick to that. So moving on. Did you hear about this whole SoundCloud thing last week?
Yes, and I was a little concerned because last week was when my $15 was due for my account. So I said, do I pay this? Do I not pay this?
Right. Do I stop payment on this? Or go ahead and it was funny because I woke up. First things first, one of my best friends sent me a text and she just put the emoji with the big eyes. I'm like, okay. And it took me a minute, it took me a minute to kind of wake up and read it. And I was like, oh, okay, I saw it. It was like, oh, SoundCloud suffering, blah, blah, allegedly. I was like, okay, whatever. I still didn't get a chance to make it register. And then next, all these podcast people started hitting me up and saying, hey, what the fuck we gonna do? And I'm like, why are you saying we? Like, this is like a group effort here. Like I don't understand. like that's number one. We, I don't know what's gonna, I don't know. What are you gonna do? And so then I started looking into it more and I kept seeing all these articles by like TechCrunch. I'm like, oh, these are like reputable companies saying this shit. And it got down to saying like, oh, they have 50 days left, and I'm like, wait, what?
And they're going through layoffs.
Right. I was like, oh shit. And it's weird because in the podcast community, certain people have been kind of dropping hints about like, hey, is your podcast in good hands? Like everybody's been kind of saying little shit. And I've been kind of like keeping note. Now, fast forward to I think like Friday, the CEO's like, no, we're good. Like Chance said some shit about, oh, we're trying to fix it, blah blah. Chance the rapper,
the kid's Lord and Savior,
right. He was like, oh, we're working on that, but then the CEO was just like, okay, Chance ain't got shit to do with it, but we're fine. He's like, your music is safe, everything is safe, you're good. So apparently we're okay, but what I will say to all the other people who are freaking out, let this be a lesson. Like, I hope you have your shit saved.
Yep.
Keep all your stuff on a hard drive, and there
Yeah.
are a million
Multiple
platforms out there.
platforms, people.
Right, you know, and like I get it. A lot of people are hosting from SoundCloud, and they're sending the RSS elsewhere. I get it, but just move it to another one.
That's all.
And I know I have a plan B because my plan B actually should have been my plan A, but I ain't sharing it with all y'all niggas on live. I'll tell
Yeah,
Sean
keep
later.
that on the low.
I'll
yeah.
tell you later, Sean, but I ain't about to just be sharing. But it was funny because I ended up going with SoundCloud first, just kind of like I've researched, but it turns out I had another option. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize I had this option. Well, shit.
Right.
So if that happens, I'll do that. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like behind the scenes still kind of have that shit uploaded. So as soon as if a light switch does go out, I can just go ahead and turn the other one on and be like, oh no, we still here. We still here. We good. You know.
Yeah.
So
straight up. Yeah, guys, get multiple platforms, man. We are on everything every week.
Shout out to being on iHeartRadio. I was like, wait a minute.
That was a move right there.
I was a little envious. I was
excited about that. I'm excited. Hey, I could plug you in, man. Hit me up. We'll talk about that. Like you said, when we done, we'll plug you into the iHeart lifestyle.
Oh yeah, because I saw that. I said, come through iHeart, do this, make this movement. Like it's crazy how the podcast game right now is just like it's a whole nother world. Like
oh man, yeah, we could do a whole episode on how we were thinking about it and how long this was in the making, man. Like this is. But I'm just glad we're here. Glad we're doing it, man.
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. It's definitely a fun thing to do every week, to be creative and just come up with new shit and just see where the hell it goes and whatever. Bring that. So speaking of making shit, okay, so have you noticed it's an influx of these new people recreating all our shit from like the 90s and stuff like that? Have you noticed, like, for example, this whole the Aladdin thing? I'm like, wait, y'all trying to do a live action Aladdin? Wait, what?
Right.
Who approved this? Like, how? Like, and so like they taking all our shit.
Yes. It seems like there are no more original ideas out there.
There can't be. Like, there can't be. Everything is being remade. Like Jumanji, which they could have kept that. Like, I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, nah, this doesn't work for me.
Well, the Rock hasn't been in enough movies this year, so. I
mean, but he has Ballers though. He has Ballers. Like, just do Ballers. No, Ballers works for you.
Him and Kevin Hart have to do 35 movies a year, or the year cannot finish.
Just 35?
Yes.
Because at this point, motherfucking Kevin Hart does more movies than Jennifer Love Hewitt used to.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Like back in the day, she used to be in every goddamn thing. If it's that teen movie, her ass was right there collecting checks. Yeah,
you right about that. Allow me to say something problematic quickly. Shout out to her and her breasts.
Yeah.
I just had to say it.
Ain't nothing problematic about that. You like her breasts. Okay. That's fine, you know.
Oh, yeah, they're wonderful.
They're wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, so before we started the show, I peeped you had on a special shirt that caught my eye. Can you please tell us about the shirt?
I thought that for my first appearance on the Outline podcast that I needed to wear my Beehive Boys t-shirt. And so last year, guys, I had a transformative experience at the Lemonade concert.
Yes.
So let me give you a quick story here. So my wife is one of the hugest Beyonce fans out there. Kevin and her have bonded over this.
We sure the fuck have.
Yeah. So that was their first initial foray into meeting each other. It was all about Beyonce. And her friend, who usually goes with her to the concerts, was pregnant last year. So she had a child and she was unable to go. So my wife invited me to go. And at first I didn't want to go. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I wasn't the hugest Beyonce fan. I haven't bought a record since the first album, Beyonce, when she was doing R&B still. That's the last album that I own personally. So we watched the Lemonade movie like everybody else on HBO. I was feeling it. We got our tickets. We drove down 2 hours to San Diego. And mind you guys, this was my first time in a football stadium. It was to see Beyonce.
Sounds adequate to me.
Right, and because that's what I said. I'm an NFL fan, never been to a stadium, but to go see Beyonce. So that's my claim to fame right now.
So how'd that go? But what?
It was a transformative experience, Kevin. I mean, I think that's the closest thing I've seen to probably seeing God in the face. I saw thousands of people singing along, dancing, crying, couldn't sit down. And before we walked out of that stadium, I turned to my wife and say, "Hey, I need to get one of those fucking shirts because I'm Beehive now. Goddamn it."
Yeah, no, that damn show was like at this point, I feel like she should just Kanye this show and not change it. Just add new music and content to the same set. Like just every year's a Formation tour, but it's just new music. Like,
I just want that big ass screen to follow me in every city I go and just watch her turn around and just show her face.
Real
on it.
talk, like the next 10 years, it's just gonna be the Formation tour and just do new music because like
I'm cool with that. I'm in.
Yeah, because no matter where you sat, no matter where you were, you got to see the monstrosity that is Beyonce. Like,
next year when it does happen, I don't know how much time she's taking off with the the twins and all that stuff. But when it does happen again, I'm getting in that pit. Goddamn it, I'm gonna be down there in the pit and I'm gonna touch her hand. I'm gonna touch the hem of her cloak. Yeah. And I will be healed.
I feel like at this point, like I'm getting a little too old for the pit though, like the general audience type spots because.
Well, see, I have to experience that.
I know.
You're a veteran. You're a veteran.
I know, but damn, like young kids be out there, and I be wanting to choke everybody, like because young niggas is rude as fuck. And like, I ain't got about 5'7" of height. Like it just take one nigga that's 5'9" to get in front of me. And I'm just like, nigga, like move. Right. Like I can't deal with this. And it's funny because I got my ticket to see SZA and it's general audience. And I was like, damn. Fuck, because I know that means going early. That means being there so I can get my spot, and then constantly just kind of making sure niggas don't hop in front of me now.
And hopefully she don't Lauryn Hill you and show up 4 hours late.
Man, not this early in her career. Nope.
She better.
Like Lauryn Hill didn't even earn that for me. So I'm like, listen, like nah, you can't. No, you need to be there on time. In fact, you need to just go ahead and start at 8 on the dot or whatever that shit say it start. You ain't even get an opening act. You don't even deserve an opening act. Nope. It's just you at this point.
You better align them chakras and get that ass on stage.
Right, today. Because and it's actually the show's like on a Monday too. I said, listen, little girl. Like, listen, like she's like what, 22, 23? Like, listen, little
something
girl,
like that. Yeah.
Get your ass on the stage. Like, I got work tomorrow. I gotta come. I gotta pay bills. I just want to see you perform some select songs from this album. And I want to go about my life. But shout out to SZA. She's dope. Everybody's so young now. Isn't that weird to you? Like, isn't it crazy how at one point in our lives, all the entertainers and athletes and shit were older than us?
Man, this is crazy because I was just having this conversation with my nephew yesterday.
Yeah,
so we're watching Summer League. And we're watching the Lakers, and everybody knows about Lonzo Ball. If you pay attention to sports, and he's supposed to come and save the Lakers, and he like, you gonna go get a jersey? And I was like, well, I got a rule now. I can't really wear a jersey of a guy who's younger than me.
Right.
Like I feel something weird about that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. This dude is 19 years old. I'm walking around whole ass 31 years old wearing his jersey. Wearing his name on my back. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, it's a little odd, and there was a time where we were the same age as some of these niggas. And then out of nowhere, it feels like, oh shit, I'm older than half the fucking millionaires. And the people getting the Grammys and shit, they all younger than me now. Yeah. You got this nigga Chance who's like running the world right now. He's what, 23, 24? Like, just like, what the
These
fuck?
Niggas they can't rent a car yet.
They can't rent a car yet, but can own the dealership. Ain't that
there
some
you
shit?
Go. Well, shout out to ownership. Shit.
Meanwhile, I'm still fucking with Sally Mae. I'm still trying to.
Don't even get me started. My shit just touched down. I just saw my first balance of my student loan. I said, this is crazy.
Oh yeah, congrats. You just congrats on that.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that, man. Graduated too late, but it's all good, man.
But you graduated though.
There you go.
You graduated though. You did what you needed to do.
I could have bought an Audi though.
It's pricey. It's pricey. Like, I get that bill every month and just be like, damn, like, did I eat? Like, should I? Like, shit, like, do y'all care if I have a house to live in?
No, they don't. Oh man, they don't. Out here in LA, shit, we ain't never gonna buy a house. Right. So I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was on my 5-year plan, but now I'm like, maybe 7 years. Like, how about I just put it when I turn 50? Let's say I want a house by 50, because at this point, I need a good cushion. I need a good cushion of time that I could just fuck off and just be like, okay, like, just shit's due, and I gotta pay everybody. I owe everybody, and just as you get older, it's just more and more. It seems like more and more shit pop up. You get a little smarter, but then that's when you start bringing in fucking dental bills and medical bills and shit. You be like,
Woo.
damn, like, can I get a fucking break? Like,
Man, yeah.
can we get like the holiday, like back like overseas and shit, where you just get a month and they give you an extra check? They give you an extra check, nigga, to go.
I didn't know about that extra check.
If you watch, what was the there was a Michael Moore documentary. It was his most recent one. It's on Hulu right now. And
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, he went to other countries to see how they live versus America. Like, they literally have holiday months. They give you an extra check for that month that you don't fucking work. So you literally have a check for vacation and a month to take motherfucking vacation.
Are they taking applications for citizenship?
Like, listen, I'd go.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, a lot of these niggas are getting 2-hour lunches every day. Like, it's just what you do. At 2 hours, you take your ass home, go home, get some food, bust off with your wife, take a nap, go back to work.
Right.
Who wouldn't be happy? Who wouldn't be happy?
And sign me up right now.
Right now. Like, real talk. Yeah, other countries do that. America, we're the ones who overwork our people. We're the ones who make people work overtime and shit like that. And like, it's all about money. It's all about inflation and shit like that.
Oh, see, that's why my job, hey, me, I'm anti-American. I take all of my 2-week vacation every year.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about use it or lose it. I will not be losing it. I will use it all. Yeah, no.
Gotta work. And some of that sick time. Don't trip.
Oh, all of it. And I'm also I'm very I'm not a huge overtime person. I'm like, because if my money doesn't flex, why should I? So like, as long as the salary is set, I'm a 9-to-5er. So don't talk to me at 4:59 talking about, hey, no, the day's over.
Preach.
You got 12 seconds to talk, and I'm literally logging out while you're talking.
And I will see you tomorrow.
Right, at 9 o'clock. Like, though that's my paid time. That's how this works. And I just, it's not the grind. I can't do it. I can't. It's not for me. But whatever. So those are our hot topics. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to get right into the topic. So we'll see you guys in just a second. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. The conversation with me and Sean is going to continue after this quick message. I wanted to talk to you about Audible. Audible is offering a free audiobook and 30-day free trial to the listeners of the Outline podcast. I would also like to recommend you check out Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. You guys know the comedian from Netflix, Comedy Central, The Daily Show. He's hilarious. He wrote a memoir about growing up in South Africa and the different challenges he faced to become who he is now. It's very insightful, and it is also funny because he's a funny guy. So you can check that out at audibletrial.com/outlinepod. Once again, to get your audiobook for free and your 30-day free trial. You can go to audibletrial.com, outline pod. That's /outline pod. I always forget that slash. But anyway, let's get back to the show. Hey, what's up, you guys? We are back with the Outline podcast. So I have Sean here, and we are going to talk about, homophobia, masculinity, manhood, all that shit, but in the Black community. I saw an article earlier this week on Very Smart Brothers, which is one of my favorite websites. Like, they are so dope, and they are growing huge. They just got bought out, by the way. The Root is actually going to be their parent company, so they're going to have access to all this shit, like podcasts and stuff. So they're actually growing, and that's amazing. As somebody who's a creative and seeing other people win, I'm all for that. Like, oh shit, because it lets you know it's possible. Anywho, there was an article written, and it was pretty much about a guy who he was gay, and he was talking about how he realized that homophobia is not a Black thing, and a lot of times it's put on Black people to be like, we're supposed to be the ones that are harder on masculinity and harder on gay people, and harder on women and stuff like that. And though some things seem that way, he was talking about how he realized that no, it's really not this way. It's just because of how society works and how media works and how everyone has a little bit of racism and sexism and homophobia and stuff like that, but it's not so much that. So I didn't necessarily want to analyze his story. It just made me think of Sean, actually. because once again, I said, I was like, oh, what would be a good place for Sean to be on the show? So I always thought about Sean as being like one of like the more open-minded black straight men that I knew. And I was just like, this is so dope, like how he just doesn't really give a fuck. Like he's just like, listen, just live your best life. Like,
Right.
Sean's married, that was like your high school sweetheart, right?
That was definitely my high school
Like
sweetheart.
I remember when
I remember y'all
niggas met.
literally been together for like 16 years.
Right,
So
I remember. I was like, we were
married
young.
for 9 years this October, man. We've been out here. I've always been different in my thinking. Like you said, I got married before everybody. When we were in middle school, as you know, a bunch of our classmates went to one particular Catholic school in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, like, I've been around y'all niggas since kindergarten. I'm going to go to this school literally by myself.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that shit. You mean Bishop?
Yeah. Right.
And
so
you went to Sarah.
I went to Bishop. I went to Sarah. One girl, we went to Sarah. It wasn't like a planned thing, but we went there, and I've always been able to do my own thing, man, and be comfortable in my own skin. I grew up as the youngest in my family and my siblings. I grew up with my sisters. I got 2 sisters and an older brother who didn't live with me, but I lived with my older sister, so a lot of my influence came from them. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that I appreciate, that I like, that some would, think that's quote unquote feminine or something like that. But I fuck with it, and I fuck with it heavy. Like I'm not uncomfortable wearing my Beehive Boys shirt when I roll out. Right. Because one, I don't give a fuck what you're saying, and my Yeezys is hard. So what can you say to me?
Right. And we're talking about you're a married man with a son. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what can anyone fucking say to you about that? And I think that's dope. And I'm glad you brought up the high school piece. So, let's take it back. So, back when we were choosing high schools, my mother actually wanted me to go to Sarah.
Yeah.
I, being the young gay man that I was, still very confused as fuck, what do I do with this? Still very private about it. It's one of those things like, oh yeah, Kevin might be gay, whatever, but it was never like a confirmation from my mouth. So it's like, whatever, but I actually was afraid of Sarah. And the reason I was because I always considered Sarah the black athletic school. Yeah. And I thought to myself, like, I'm not really good at sports, and it's a more black, it didn't seem as mixed as CCA was, and from my perspective.
It's funny that you say that, because sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
But we, like you say, our school, CCA, Calvary Christian Academy, that was a diverse school. Like you said, we had black kids, we had Asian kids, we had white kids. We kind of had a little bit of everything. And it was a culture shock to me going to Sarah, because I had never been around, a school where it was all black kids. Pretty much. It was 50-50. It was black kids, and then we had some Latino kids. But it was mainly black. And like you said, everybody was there to play sports. We all played sports at least our freshman year.
Right.
And it was like, what you here for. You here to run track, or you here to play football. And then if you taller, you here to play basketball.
Yeah. And that's what I always thought about it. So my mom was like, well, I can actually afford that comfortably. So that's where I want you to go. When I tell you, I went there and I butchered that fucking entrance test. Like I butchered it. Like I butchered the fuck out of it on purpose. And it's funny because my mom could have made me just go to the fucking remedial classes and made me go. Like I didn't think that through. That was my Tariq moment. Like I didn't think, she could have been like, you going to summer school then, nigga.
Yeah, you're 14. Yeah, you don't know shit. You thought that was the move.
I thought it was the move. And I remember we went and she was like, nah, something's not right. No. She was like, nah. They were like, no, he did this on this test and this test. And she was just like, oh my gosh. So they're like, I was just like, okay, I didn't think that through. She could have easily been like, oh, well, you're going to go to summer school then. But she didn't do that. So then I ended up going to fucking Valley. And I look back on that decision and that wasn't any better, really. I went to, the school I went to was 92% white.
Oh, Jesus.
So I dealt with white privilege.
I get shocked every time you say that.
Right. I went to a school where I experienced white privilege before I knew it had a name.
Right.
And so, and honestly, it was
that shit Derek or Brian.
Right. Right. So it wasn't It wasn't a terrible experience though, but I dealt with a different type of struggle though. And so I was like, I was running from one struggle, but I still ended up in a whole nother one because now I'm dealing with fucking race and I still have to confront my own sexuality any
Right.
fucking way. But now I'm in this white Christian ass school. And it was interesting. And I feel like, okay, I wish I would have had a little bit more knowledge. I probably would have went to Sarah or Bishop. Well, I think Bishop wasn't I think that was beyond my mom's price point. She's like, yeah, no, you ain't doing that.
Right.
So, but it was like Sarah, I think that was the one she wanted me to go to. And I was like, I'm not having that. I was fearful.
No, and it's sad because I cringe a lot of times, and I wasn't always as open minded as I am now. Like a lot of that stuff came with growth. I was always open minded about individual stuff that I was doing and comfortable with myself. But a lot of times, like many people, the ones who were different from me made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so we did have a gay student at Sarah, and like I said, I cringe, and I'm so sorry. Like we called him Gay Derek. That was his name.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And that's what's it. And he would answer to it though. And he'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Gay Derek?" And he'd be like, "Hey, like, what's going on?" And for him to have to, yeah, oh yeah, he was out and did not care. And that's what. And it was one of those things. Once most of us sat down and talked to him and got to know him, or you had a class with him, you like, man, Derek is cool as fuck. Like he just a dude. He's more comfortable than all of us because the rest of us dealing with teenage angst and trying to fit in and all this other shit. And Derek was just walking around being himself every single day.
That's real. That is
So
real.
it's one of those things, and I could look back on that as an adult now and see his comfort level and see how he changed that into something that could have been him fighting every day to something that, okay, I'm gonna accept that and just be myself.
Yeah, real talk. And it's funny that you said that because and I'm glad that you're able to just be like, yeah, no, I wasn't. I was kind of fucked up too, like whatever.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and that's
I was horrible, like the majority of straight.
And that's what I want to tie in because like, you and I were cool, I think, in middle school. Like, it was never like I never felt like necessarily like any kind of like, we were joking shit, blah, blah. I remember you used to always like say, whoa, all the time. Like, Black Rob.
Black Rob, yeah.
I was like, whoa. Like, that was like your shit. But I do kind of, I remember there were moments where I think I was intimidated by, I think, how you wore your manhood versus how I wore mine.
Right.
And so I think, when I would think about things moving into like high school, you among other people too, of course, it was not just you.
Right.
But more or less, I remember how like the crews kind of operated, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this at a high school level because I knew the few people that went to Sarah, and I'm like, I don't know if I want this times 300 though. And so I considered that when I was considering it though. So fast forward to now, hearing you say like, oh yeah, I love your show. You teach me, da, da, da. Like when you were like, oh yeah, listen, I love this. I do this. And you shouting me out and stuff like that. It hit me in a way like, damn, like what is life when at one point in your life you felt like you would never even say some shit to somebody like, oh yeah, nigga, I'm gay, da, da, da. Out of fear of them being like, nigga, get your gay ass away from me. To being like, oh no, I respect your show, it's cool. And then you don't feel any type of way about it. Like I said, you got a whole ass wife, a whole ass kid, and you're comfortable in yourself. And that's dope to me because it lets you see that it is very much possible. And that's what ties into that article. It's like, Black people aren't a monolith.
Right.
Yes, we do have a lot of things that we agree on as Black people, but at the same time, we all different. We're all individual. And so I don't necessarily want to coin every Black straight man as homophobic because that's not even the case.
Right.
There's conversation you can have with people. It's not a Black thing.
Yeah, I can tell you like exactly where it turned for me. So once I graduated from high school, I had some struggles. Always been a good student, but I didn't really want to go to college at the time.
Me neither.
I kind of, and my parents said, hey, you either work or you go to school. And so I decided to get out into the workforce. So where I first met diversity was going into the workplace. So you go into the workplace and I'm working with a man that's from Lebanon, and I'm working with a guy who's from India. I'm working with a guy who's from Inglewood like me. And I'm also working with a man who's gay. And so this is my first encounter with being in a place where there's an open gay man who has children, who has, a life partner at the time because he couldn't get married. And he was just a regular guy. And that was my first experience. Like, oh, he's no different from me. And I didn't know he was gay for like the first year that I worked with him. And we talked sports, we talked politics, we talked about life, we talked about his children. And, you know, I'm 18, 19 years old, and he was someone who was a mentor in the building to me. And, you know, really helped me along in my career, helped me along with my life because, you know, looking back at it, he was the first person that taught me to be tolerant and taught me that, hey, just because someone's sexuality is different from yours, it doesn't change who that person is. And you can get along with that person and you can find some type of common ground. And I'm not gonna turn gay through osmosis, which I don't know. That's what a lot of people think is gonna happen.
Right, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely, especially a teenage mentality. You know, you just feel like it's a contagious thing that's just gonna happen by association and stuff like that. And that's real. I think
real people, you can be friends with gay people. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. Everything will be okay, y'all. Y'all still will collectively like what you like at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's dope that you said that, because what happens is it sounds like he made gay people real to you, rather.
Yeah, it wasn't just what I saw on TV. It wasn't a stereotype. It wasn't anything that I read about. It was a real tangible person that I could touch and feel and be like, man, I like Jeff. Like, he's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't care that he's gay. And so from then on, it was cool. I'm not judging anybody based off who they are. I'm gonna get to know them, and we're gonna go from there.
Yeah, that's dope, and it's real because it's one of those things. I think we fear things that we don't understand, but I think the problem is a lot of people don't try to understand. They rather run away with the stereotype or with the feeling that they have instead of trying to say, okay, let me try to figure this out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, I think about my mom actually. I think I made gay people real for her. If that makes sense. I wouldn't say she was a homophobe, but she was a homophobe. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. My uncle died during the AIDS epidemic.
Okay.
And everyone, like, they tried to make it seem like he turned gay at a certain point. I was like, but y'all, he was a cheerleader. Like, stop. Like, please stop this shit. Like, they made it seem like, oh, he did it because he was depressed. I'm like, okay, I never heard someone getting depressed and decide they like dick. I've never heard of that. But okay, cool.
I've been sad a lot. I'm not gonna switch up.
Right. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Right. And so my family had a lot of animosity towards gay people because of that moment. And I get it, because that was a hard moment. You know, you got someone who died of something that they didn't understand. And, you know, he died a very lonely death, in my opinion, because I remember, you know, no one wanted to touch him. No one understood it. So, you know, him being in a room, I was just like, God, this is crazy. You know, I remember I like hugged him and I got in so much trouble. I got in so much trouble for hugging him. I was just like, what did I do wrong? Like, it was crazy. Like, so there was that. So when I finally came out, I came out like 18, 19. I made it real for my mom. She didn't kick me out. She didn't do anything. She was just like, I don't like it, but, you know, I love you. So, okay, let's figure this shit out. And it was funny hearing her, seeing the light bulb come on for her. Because, like, there was one day we were talking. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm hanging out with Mike. She was like, wait a minute. Mike from, like, she's like, from high school? I'm like, yeah. She's like, so is he gay too? I'm like, no, he's straight. She was like, wait, straight people and gay people can be friends? I'm like, yeah. Like, what the fuck? Like, huh? Like, literally, some people's minds think that way, though. You know, they feel like, and like, it's a certain, when I say ignorance, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just literally, they just don't know. And I remember I saw my mom's head kind of be like, oh shit. Like, and it's cool. Like, yeah, it's cool. He doesn't give a fuck. She's like, wow, taught me something. And like, there's this idea like, oh yeah, straight people over here, gay people over here. And I'm just like, nah, like, the world doesn't operate that way. Now, here's the thing. Now, here's where this ties in again. Mike was a white guy, though. And so I used to think like, okay, white straight guys are cool with me, but it's the black straight guys who are like, oh, get that faction away from me.
Right.
So that started kind of, that's how my mind kind of went back then too.
And I mean, I kind of understand why people would think that, because if you took any group of people, I kind of think that black straight men is, and I could say it because I am one, we are kind of a monolith, y'all. Like, we all like the same shit. I'm sorry, you know, it's not, and if anybody, you know, if any of us is offended by it, I don't really give a fuck. So, nigga, we all like sports. We all love fucking Future, and we like shoes. Like, I mean, it's not really complicated. Like, we all like the same shit, and we all like to wear. You got to wear at least 3 chains, and then you are a straight black man in 2017.
Like,
So
well,
it's cool if y'all want to just be like
and then
straight black
also-
man. Like, yeah, we do that shit. Yeah, you right.
now what I will say this though, I do feel like as black men in general, because this even happens in the gay community too, we are a lot stringent when it comes to rules of masculinity.
Yeah.
Now I know that for a fact because I remember being in high school with all them fucking white dudes. I thought everybody was gay. Like, real talk, by black standards of what's gay and what's not. Like, every second, I was like, oh, all these motherfuckers are gay by those standards. Because, like, everything was pause. Everything was no homo. Everything was, whoa. Everything was like, yeah, nah, that's too much.
That, like you said, during that time, everything was suspect. I don't play that gay shit. Suspect.
Yeah. My brother would be like, oh, that's sus. That's sus. Oh, that's real sus. I'd be like, oh, okay. But when I tell you, I would be in those locker rooms, like, peeing and shit, and all these white dudes were just doing pretend rapes on each other and shit, and doing all type of like real shit, like running around like naked, whatever. It was what they did.
Nope. As far as Sarah, the boys' locker room was the only place that we was all modest because it was not. Yeah, we finna take showers with trunks on. Nigga, why you walking around here with that towel on? And you better put something on right now.
And like, so that's where it comes from. I think when it comes to masculinity, we're just I think that as black people in general, because the women do it too, we're just stringent. Where it's like, oh no, I don't want my man doing this, or he can't do this, or he can't do this. That's suspect. It's literally, I think that is where we're a little more monolithic.
Right.
We look at things like, ooh, that color, that's a shade of pink I can't fuck with. And like, I think that's what you think.
But Cam did make that shit cool for us. We was rocking the pink for a minute. Shout out to Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron, he don't get enough credit. He
does. He's a pioneer and an innovator.
Right. Now, because of that though, you start thinking to yourself, when it gets to home, I don't think that necessarily everyone is necessarily homophobic, but I do know that there's a lot of groupthink too. What I found is when I get people alone, like a solo friendship, kind of like you and I, they don't give a fuck.
Right.
But sometimes when you get people in group environments where there's a lot of people together, it changes because it becomes this, well, I don't want you guys thinking anything of me, so I'm going to go with the flow of the group.
Yeah, I don't want you to judge me on how I really feel. Right. I'm a just fall in with the group and make sure that I could just blend in with everybody. Right.
Because, I mean, I've honestly, in my experience, like especially as an adult, I've not had any experiences of gay bashing, anything like that. But I do think, and sadly, I think it is also how I carry myself as well. And I hate that there's a certain respectability in that. But that's just me being me, though. I've never been one who was into wearing blouses and shit like that, although most rappers do anyway. But at the same time, that's never been my thing.
And I want to, and not to, sorry to interject again, good. But I started that shit, yo. I bought this Calvin Klein spring collection back in the spring of 2007, and I just want to let y'all know that Migos bit my style. I had this one, my favorite one. I had this white floral joint, and it was sheer, so it had like floral roses on it, but it was sheer. And back then I was in shape, y'all. I'm fat as hell right now though, so I would just wear the motherfucker open.
You need a payout. You need a payout. Yeah, they didn't write your check. They need to go ahead and...
I did. So they got, I started that shit, man. But continue on your real story as I interjected.
Oh no, that's a great story. I want you to get your money. I want you to get at least an album credit or something. Royalty.
Cut the check, Quavo.
Cut it. Or Offset. I mean, Offset building up too. He can.
I don't feel like he the one to talk to about. No lie.
Nah. Yeah. I mean, he didn't get left out bad and bougie.
Shit, I did. Nigga, they left me off.
You did. You got left off. It's cool though. No. Basically, it's more or less, especially when it comes to fashion and lingo, and
Right.
there was a point in time where niggas couldn't even say sausage without saying pause. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
nigga,
It was so
like,
bad.
you just like,
Yeah.
damn, nigga, you want a piece of fucking sausage? It's breakfast time, nigga. Like, I don't understand. Like, why does everything have to be like, oh, oh, oh? And I think I blame groupthink because not even my own like brothers and shit, and I felt like they said the most homophobic shit ever. But like when it came to me, they were fighting to go over me.
Of course.
But I
That's
was
my
there,
bro.
right? And so I always was like, okay, by oneself is cool, but as a group, it's like, yeah, no, I ain't with that shit. And so
Yeah.
I see that more, I guess, in the black community. And so
Right.
that's where you start tying in like the whole. So it's like necessarily, I don't think that black people are more homophobic. It's just that we have these stronger rules, and I think it's because of being black, where you feel like you gotta be extra when it comes to
Yeah.
everything.
I still feel like if you come out in a black family, like you might get your invitation canceled to Thanksgiving still.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I came out. I don't really. Let's just say this: I didn't give a fuck, and
Okay.
I mean, my attitude I have now is pretty much the one I had then. What it was is this: once my only fear was my mom knowing. That was it. Once I told her, I didn't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, I did not give a fuck at all. And I remember I was posting shit on Facebook, just talking regular or whatever.
Mhm.
And, people would say little side shit like, oh, people talking about you. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, what are they going to do to me? I'm working. I'm in school. What are you going to do to me? What the fuck? You ain't going to beat me up. Like, what the fuck? What are you going to do?
You definitely not Mr. Black Belt over here.
Right.
You definitely about to get that.
Right, there was that too. What are you gonna do to me? Like, I don't understand what the fuck. So I didn't care as much. But I do know that there was some kind of animosity. I know that some people did stop fucking with me, but I was too busy. I made so many friends who liked me as I was that I didn't give a fuck about those people.
Right.
I didn't have that benefit. I think a lot of times, a lot of like people, gay, trans, bi, whatever, they hold on to these people. They say like, oh, this is my family, or this is, I love these people. I'm like, but listen, you wouldn't be losing them. They will be losing you because they want you to change to be comfortable.
Right.
I would rather be myself to be around you. So fuck that. So that's how my view was. But I do remember my mom saying, hey, that wedding, you might not want to go. And I'd be like, what? And she would kind of give me a heads up, like, yeah, I wouldn't go.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
damn, like the family trying to be like that. But you know what happened though?
What happened?
After a while, when people started kind of seeing who I was, I guess as a blogger and photographer, and started seeing me for, I guess, my talents or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that made me real to them. Or maybe they think there's some kind of train that's moving that they want to be on. I don't know. But
Like just the same way you say about me, like you just exude this level of comfort about you, man. Like you are unapologetically Kevin.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people respect. And you don't get a lot of people who could walk around and just be comfortable in their own skin or in their own personality or in their own whatever it is. And so, like, I mean, it kind of made me think just this whole conversation. And when you sent me the article, I kind of thought about, like, damn, I just had this experience. So I was in downtown LA, me and my wife, we was going shopping. You know, I like to fuck up some tags from time to time.
Hey, Papa Tag.
Yeah, got to, man. I'm always fresh in these streets. Come holler at your boy. And so I went down there to get a blazer for my graduation. So I went down there and I had to walk around for a while because they had to tailor the coat for me. So I'm walking around, me and my wife, we holding hands, kissing, being googly eyed and all that good shit. And we come across this guy and we're looking down and just kind of walking around and he's like, hey, black people, don't judge me. I know I got these tight shorts on, but I just went swimming. So he was a gay guy. And so he says that to us, and I replied first because I'm always talking. My wife don't really say shit to nobody, and so I was like, nah, man, it's cool. Like everything is fine. You know, I got on some little ass shorts. I got some H&M shorts, and I told y'all I'm big. They only go to XL, so you could imagine how small them shorts is on. But I thought they was flying. They was camouflage, and I was out here in these streets. So I was like, hey, dog, my shorts is short too. And he was like, but you're a straight black man. And then I just kind of looked at him, and then we just kind of kept rolling. And then, me and my wife were talking about it later. And we were like, damn, like, is that hard out here? Like, are straight black men just like super hard on gay guys like everywhere they go? Or is that his personal experience? Like, we couldn't really call it, but I felt bad for the dude after we walked away from him. And when I read this story, it kind of brought me back to that. And I'm like, damn, like, you know, in this age, whatever it is, we're in the information age, man. And if you're uncomfortable with something, then you need to read more, you need to get some more information, or you need to interact with some people who you quote unquote don't understand.
Yeah.
Because at this point it doesn't really make sense to be homophobic, misogynist, you know, whatever it is. And you know, Lord, with the current administration we got going on, everybody under attack right now. So it doesn't make sense for you to fear something that you don't know. Just go get the fucking information.
Yeah, that's real. And, you know, and I think at this point, especially as a 31-year-old man, I don't even trip on shit like that, because at this point, if I see someone who is straight and just really, I'm talking about little boozy pressed about gay people, I just think they're probably dealing with some shit. Like, just like at this point, you must not be secure in your own sexuality. And this is your way of projecting that shit. Cause it's like, if you are that into pussy, why are you so pressed about somebody else and what they do in their bedroom? I don't get it. Like,
I never, and I think to be quite honest with you, I don't care much about what goes on in other people's bedrooms, and I think people care about what's going on in mine less. There's nothing more unattractive or unsexy than thinking about married people having sex. So nothing can be worse than that. So it's like we don't. It doesn't matter what you do.
Right?
You're not infringing on none of my freedoms. You living your life. I'm living my life. Why do I care what's going on?
Yeah. It's real. It's real. And
I don't care.
That is crazy. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's definitely it's an uphill battle, and I think especially like I live a great life. I will never say I don't.
Yeah, you do. So says your Instagram. I see you out here all the time.
I enjoy my life. I do. You know, I like to try new things. I like to do things. And there's so much more to me than just like, oh yeah, that gay nigga. Like, no, I do a lot. I'm just very, you know, there's that. But it is still tough being black and gay, because I feel like every goddamn day there's a different fucking battle.
I couldn't imagine.
Well, because you know the black piece is already there. You know,
right,
oh damn,
exactly.
I don't want to die today. Like shit, right. I wanted to go to Baskin Robbins and get a double scoop.
That's real. Like people don't understand the anxiety behind that. Like that shit is real, dog. Like my heart beat fast when the cop pulled behind me.
We got pulled over on the way to Savannah, and my heart was just like wanted to come out my chest. It was three of us, three black men in the car, and I was like, fuck.
Like you said, you in the South.
And we were driving more south. We were going to Savannah. We weren't even in Atlanta anymore. I was like, fuck. And it was a sheriff. I'm like, nigga, okay, I'm trying to breathe. I'm literally panicking. I'm like, shit, like, what's gonna happen right now? And so, there's that. But then you add the gay piece, you're like, okay, well, if there's a homophobe out here, whatever, what color,
you double fuck,
right? But at the same time, like I said, knock on wood, I haven't experienced anything like that of that kind of intensity. Right. So I'm grateful for that, and I know it's also how I carry myself. But it just is what it is. But it's just like it's just frustrating. But I still try to live my best life. But I don't necessarily. I am trying to reconcile the whole thing. Like we said, like I don't believe that black people are any more homophobic than any other race, but I do know that it carries weight. But what I will kind of say though, I think black church people, that's a whole nother group.
Kevin, you got another hour?
No,
because man, boy, we can talk about that. And, oh man,
yeah, I don't think it might not be black people, but maybe black church people.
Oh
because
man,
that's a whole nother level.
Let them tell it. They are black church people, and they ain't been to church since Easter Sunday 2010.
Man,
I ain't telling on nobody though.
seriously. So, so you're a father, and you also
you have
a son.
I have a
and
5-year-old
and he
son.
and he's adorable as hell. First of all, like
Appreciate it.
I crack
Thank you.
up at all the little posts and quotes and shit that
Oh, he bad. No, he
like.
bad. Yeah.
Nah, like he seems smart as hell though. Like between you and Monet posting his quotes, I'm like he seemed pretty hip on game. Like
He is a tiny version of me, and it scares the shit out of me because I remember how I acted when I was in high school, and I'm just not ready.
yeah, real talk. So
Um,
when it comes to like, I guess like, because I mean you're his father, so when it comes to kind of showing him the ropes and the being masculine and how to treat women and all that kind of stuff, like what are some of the things that you think about when you're
I have two. I try to keep things really simple, and I'm stupid. So if my son turns out to be something one day, I give him a bunch of cliches all the time, so he could be like, "Hey, my daddy always told me." Uh, so I'm really close with my son. We do the hugging thing, we do the kissing thing. I tell him I love him. Just a lot of things that in my generation we didn't get a whole lot of from our fathers.
right.
And so the things that I just want to instill in him is being kind. And basically, we live by the golden rule, man. You do unto others as you had them do unto you, and that's how we live. We treat everybody nicely. Sometimes now we got to meet people with their energy.
Yeah.
We understand how to, and as he gets older, we'll understand how to differentiate between those things in each moment. But it's all about you got to be tough, but at the same time you still got to be tender and you got to be open minded, and that's what I want to teach him, because to me it's about raising up this generation to not do the same dumb shit we did when we was kids,
Mm-hmm.
and being closed minded and not being open to things, because that's how you miss out on experiences.
Yeah.
And that's how you miss out on people who, that you can be friends or that could add things to your life. And so it's all about, being open and being accepting and getting to know people beyond the surface level. So we're not just going to judge people by whatever their title is, whatever you would call them in the room. We're not going to judge them by being fat, by being gay, by being white, by being Muslim, whatever it is. We're going to get to know these people, and then we'll make our judgments from there. Is this a good person or is this not a good person?
That's real. And I think you touched on a really good point. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
It's balance. And it's children need balance. You teach them, like you said, there's times where you got to be hard, but there's times where you have to be tender. There's times where and I think ultimately our journeys, that's what our journey is. It's not a matter of being anti-masculine or anti-feminine. It's a matter of finding the middle.
Yep.
Because at a point in our life, we got to be able to do it all.
Mm-hmm. And whether you are masculine or feminine, you have to hold your values and your principles, and you got to display those on a daily basis. And that's what's important, whether you're masculine or feminine. Just being a good person.
That's real. That's real. Man, oh my God. Okay, so this was a perfect conversation. Like we gonna stop it right there. That was perfect. Like I don't want to fuck this up. But please tell the people where they can find you, Sean.
Oh man, you guys can find me on Snapchat, on Instagram, on Twitter, my_definition. That's my_DEFINISEAN. You guys can catch me weekly on the To Live and Pod in LA podcast. We're on Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud for the time being, and Spreaker Radio and the Spreaker app, man. So that's where the people can find me. Shout out to my co-host, Blackface, man. Y'all can find him. I don't know his social media shit because it's all 3 different names. So sorry.
You gotta get your marketing together.
Yeah,
That's what he said. He got a universe.
Yeah, you gotta coordinate the shits, bro. But shout out to him, man. That's my co-host. We do our thing every week. And then again, shout out to Kevin Dwayne, man. Thank you for sharing your platform, having me on, and having this conversation, man. I think we had a good convo today.
I think we did too. Like it was definitely what I wanted to have. I wanted to kind of have that point of intersectionality. I wanted it to be like, nah, it's not necessarily the case. There are people out there who are just like not pressed, and there's that. And I hope that it definitely inspires people, and I think it will. It was a great conversation. But you guys, thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can find me, The World of Kevin, on everything. Also follow the Outline Podcast pages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. As always, have a great week, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.